All right, what's going on, YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Good morning. Hope everyone has a good weekend. The weekend's coming up. It's beautiful out in New York right now. We finally not getting rain, so I love it. Um, Listen. So there's this interview that's floating around with Kenny Porter. Okay, I seen it about last week. I think I seen it sometime last week, but everything was going on with Joshua and Ruiz. So I didn't get time to really make a video about it, but Kenny Porter is basically saying in his interview, listen, Shawn Porter has already signed his part of the contract to fight Errol Spence. Okay? And they're just waiting for Errol Spence. And Shawn also did another video that I believe Fight Hype released this interview a couple days ago. Basically, Shawn is saying in the interview, he's ready for the fight and everything, but he also mentioned as well that Errol hasn't signed his side of the contract yet. Okay, so the fight isn't officially on. Now, the last time I checked, I think they were trying to secure a date in early August. Okay, and we're already in June. In fact, we're already getting closer to the halfway point of June, and there's still no fight signed. All right, not saying it's too late, but what's going on with Team Spence? So there's a couple of YouTubers that already made videos about this, and I agree with them. I believe that there's some type of negotiations going on outside of this fight. At first, when the fight wasn't announced earlier, like I thought it was because they were waiting to see what Manny Pacquiao was gonna do and who was he gonna decide to fight. So I thought that was the holdup. Okay, but it seems like Pacquiao and Thurman has been announced a couple weeks, 2, 3 weeks ago now. And we still haven't heard anything about Errol Spence and Shawn Porter. I thought that was a sealed done deal, But I'm thinking like everybody else, it's got to be some other negotiations going on. And it brings me back to the video I did a few weeks ago about Errol Spence fighting Canelo Alvarez. All right. Oscar came out and said that he is interested in making a fight between Errol and Canelo Alvarez. Okay. And Errol has always showed interest, and he said in several videos, interviews I've seen, he's been saying for a while that he would fight Canelo. At least for the last year or two, he's said in interviews that he would fight Canelo Alvarez. That he would move up to fight Canelo Alvarez. All right. So now that Errol's coming off of that win against Mikey Garcia, Mikey has a huge Mexican fan base. They had it at Dallas Stadium. It was a success. They filled the arena. They didn't sell it out, but they had more than enough people in that arena. All right. It did pretty well. It did solid pay-per-view numbers. So I personally believe that they are at least negotiating this fight at bare minimum. And that's a huge fight. And I believe Errol when he said that he would fight Canelo and move up to fight him. And I believe that Oscar and Canelo would entertain that fight. I think Canelo is on the ball with whatever Oscar goes with. I think he's on the ball with Oscar, you know. And I believe Oscar is very, very serious. I think he's always had interest in Errol Spence. And I think he has interest in making that fight, you know. Now, what I said in that previous video, if you didn't watch it, I basically said, look, it makes sense as far as financially. Errol would get a huge payday. He would get a lot of money to fight Canelo Alvarez. And unlike some of the other fights that we've seen recently, where a fighter went up 2 weight classes in order to fight another champion, right? We had Mikey going up to fight Errol. Mismatch. All right. Predicted as a mismatch, and it showed to be a mismatch. Kell Brook going up to fight Triple G. Mismatch. Okay. Predicted to be a mismatch, and it was a mismatch. Guillermo Rigondeaux. Predicted to be a mismatch. That was a terrible mismatch. Going up to fight Lomachenko, it ended up being a mismatch. All right. Even though I believe that Canelo Alvarez would win that fight, I think that is a more realistic fight, unlike the other three I just mentioned. Okay? Not only is Errol a big 147 pounder, he would be solid size at 154. I believe he's actually taller than Canelo, but I think Canelo has more mass than Errol, but not by much. But echo, echo. Um, but I don't think, as far as skills, I don't think they're way off. You know, so I think Canelo would win the fight, but I can see Errol taking that chance. I think he has a better shot than all these other guys that went up two weight divisions to fight a top guy in a certain division. I think he has a better chance. I personally would love Errol to prove himself at 147 before fighting a guy like Canelo. I think that's a step above, especially because of the size difference. But not too many fighters are going to turn down a Canelo Alvarez fight. Not too many fighters going to do it. And then if you just happen to win, if you just so happen to win that fight, if you can win that fight, the reward would be amazing, man. You beat Canelo Alvarez, you make a lot of money fighting him anyway. It's a win-win situation. It's always a win-win situation fighting Canelo. You go up in weight, you fight Canelo. You're gonna get paid regardless. But if you are to win that fight, like let's just say Errol actually won that fight somehow, some way, you know, that would be great. That would be like you're it's not even a debate whether or not you're pound for pound. Like you will be that instantly overnight. And not only that, but if they were to make that is a fight worth having in Dallas Stadium. That would be a fight worth having in Dallas Stadium, and that would fill that arena. Garcia, Mikey, if Mikey could bring the Mexican fan base out, Canelo could bring that fan base out. That would be the fight you would have to be at. You know, I don't think it's a mismatch. I think Canelo would win. I would break the fight down like I normally would do, but that would be a huge, huge win for Errol Spence. And as far as negotiations and future fights, and I didn't even get to the part two. The part two is Terrence Crawford. The second half of this is Terrence Crawford. Now, I personally would love for that to happen. That's the fight I really want to see above all other fights. I even want to see that fight above the Canelo fight. I want to see Spence versus Crawford was the fight that I wanted to see the most. Besides Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, that was my biggest fight. The second biggest fight in boxing was Errol Spence against Terrence Crawford. All right, so I think that's the second half. That is obviously a bigger fight than the Shawn Porter fight. That's the fight that everybody want to see. And the way that these upsets has been taking place, how much do you really want to risk? That was the second half. But I don't believe that is going to happen. Okay, I do believe that the PBC and their side are willing to make a Shawn Porter fight first. Okay, I think that they would make that Shawn Porter fight first only because that is also a unification match that can be made that Porter wants now. That it would bring more power going into the Terrence Crawford fight. As big as the Terrence Crawford fight would be, they would probably make more money having Errol fight Canelo, in a big pay-per-view fight. They would make more money doing that. Okay, so I don't believe it's Terrence Crawford, but it's possible. Those are the only two fights that I can think of from those weight classes, from 154, from 147. Out of the people that are not tied up, Keith Thurman's already tied up for Manny Pacquiao. Danny Garcia is already tied up with Mikey Garcia. Okay, you go to 154. There's no really super matches there to be made. There's no high demand for any matches to be made. Everybody's already tied up there, rematches, stuff like that. Then you go to 160. you have Canelo. So it would have to be Canelo or Terrence Crawford that's holding this up. I mean, this is all speculation. I could be wrong. Maybe, I don't know why Errol's taking so long, but I would think that the reason why he didn't rush to sign that contract, because we already know that Errol's has been wanting this fight. I would have to think it's Canelo Alvarez or maybe Terrence Crawford. All right, but the Canelo Alvarez fight would be huge, and Canelo, sometimes him and Oscar, they could be very, very unpredictable at times. But I would not be surprised if Errol Spence is Canelo's next opponent. All right, it's more realistic than a Khan fight that we got. Uh, the fight with Rocky. I think Spence has a better chance of winning against Canelo than both Rocky Fielding and Amir Khan. You know, those are two recent fights that we got. You know, Liam Smith. I think Errol would do better than Liam Smith. That's another guy. Shout out to Liam Smith too. He was at the fight too. Very, very nice guy. He was at the fight the other day when I went to see Joshua Andy Ruiz. He was in the building too. Him and all his brothers, they were all there. Um, but yeah, even though Errol is moving up two divisions, I think he has a better chance than some of the fighters that Canelo has faced going into the fight. You know, obviously, if the fight happens, the outcome could be very different. Errol may perform even better than Daniel Jacobs did. You never know. You know, saying he may perform better than Triple G, I don't know about all that. You know, but I don't think it's a complete mismatch. Even though I think Canelo would win the fight. All right, but I made a video about it already and broke that down. I think it's a win-win for Errol if he is to step aside and just void the whole Shawn Porter thing for now to fight either Canelo or Terrence Crawford. I can see that happening, you know, and I wouldn't be mad at all. I wouldn't be mad at all. You know, I would respect both of those moves. Um, if this is true, and let's just say Errol does fight Canelo Alvarez. Win or lose, does he go back down to 147? That's the one thing that worries me about him possibly fighting Canelo Alvarez. Now, if he is to win the fight, he could do whatever he wants. I mean, if you were to happen to win that fight, you're obviously gonna fight Canelo in a rematch. You know, there's gonna be a rematch clause in effect and stuff. But if he happens to lose, is he going to come back down to 147? That's what I'm worried about. If I'm worried about anything, do you come back down? You know, you already know that he's a big guy at 147. He probably really belongs at 154. All right, but he's able to cut the weight, and it is what it is. I'm fine with that. There's still fights I want to see at 147. You know, so is he going to do and try to do what Kell Brook did and come back down? You know, in order to fight a unification match right away. Even with a loss, we know how that works. Guys lose fights and then they negotiate with fighters on the other end, and they have full advantage because look, they've been like, listen, I've been on successful pay-per-views with Mikey Garcia, with Canelo Alvarez. I did fights in Dallas Stadium. You know, Dallas Stadium is like doing a fight at Wembley Stadium. I mean, these places are huge. You know, these are 90, 100,000 seats in these arenas. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to come into a fight with Errol Spence at this point and try to, you're going to be the B-side no matter who he faces after fighting Canelo Alvarez, win or lose. You know, that's just how it works. You know? But anyway, yo, listen, that's my thoughts. I think the holdup is because he's negotiating with someone else. All speculation. I don't know for this as to be in fact. I don't know. I'm just talking. You know. Um, but I don't understand why else would Errol be holding up. I mean, it's been weeks and it's been a month since Sean signed the contract, and if they're due to fight in August, what's the holdup? What's the holdup? You know, you've been wanting this fight. It's a unification fight. It's an important fight. You know, and let me add one thing before I end this video. I believe Errol could beat Sean. Okay, many of us, most of us believe that Errol will beat Sean. I've even said that I think Errol would beat Shawn more convincingly than Keith Thurman did. Definitely more than Keith Thurman did, and even possibly more than Kell Brook did. Okay, a lot of people are here saying stoppage. I'm not so sure about a stoppage, but I'm not sure about a stoppage. I don't think he can stop Shawn Porter. All right, I don't think he can stop Shawn Porter, but I think he can beat Shawn. All right, and make it clear. All right, but I don't want to completely write Shawn Porter off. Shawn Porter has a style that gives certain fighters trouble. All right, he's very strong. He's very physical. He leaps in with his head sometimes. A guy like that is dangerous for anyone. Shawn can throw any kind of fighter off. Some fighters do well against Shawn, others don't. All right, others just don't because of his style. Risky fight for Errol Spence. Regardless of how you feel, regardless of who you think is better, who's more talented, talent when it comes to pure raw talent, I give it to Errol. But Shawn Porter is that guy that can throw off any type of fighter depending on how they fight. Errol's very strong. He's very physical too. So look, going into it, I think that Errol would be fine, but you just never know, man. You just never know. I know Shawn didn't look great against Ugas. I get it. But you just never know with Shawn Porter. It's risky. And maybe these guys are like, listen, before we get this fight in with Shawn, let's see what we can do with a Canelo fight. Because we don't want to completely ruin everything by you just got to think like how these guys may think. That could be something else. It could maybe they're thinking like that. I have no idea. But Shawn, even though I don't think Shawn will win, you can't completely write him off. Shawn Porter is proven welterweight, a real welterweight that's been there with a lot. He's been in the ring with a lot of fighters, man. You just never know. I know Errol beat Kell Brook and Kell Brook beat Shawn, but you can't look at it that way, all right? Kell Brook did have a lot of success against Errol in that earlier rounds, okay? And Shawn Porter is still much better than everybody else Errol Spence fought. Besides Kell Brook. Shawn Porter is still much better. And he brings different dangers than Kell Brook did. All right, so you never know. Styles make fights. All right, so anyway, I've spoken long enough. Let me know what you guys think. What is the hold up with Errol Spence? Why is he not signing his in on the contract? All right. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And catch you on the next one. Peace.